Now I am going to see the another aspect of calculation of flux, which is the combination of the known results. Combination of known results means we are given a surface, and for that surface, in the surrounding of that surface, two or more than two point charges are placed. Individually, I know how to calculate the flux through the given point charge. For example, here you can see as in the diagram, we are having a square plate, say A, B, C, D of side length L, and along the corner C, along the normal, from corner C along the normal at distance equal to side length, at point P1, I am placing charge Q1, and another charge I am placing along the normal from center at distance Ly2 at point P2. So the direction of P1 and P2 are opposite. So P2 is this way. Point charge here is a Q1, and point charge here is a Q2. So what I am supposed to do here, I am supposed to calculate the flux through ABCD due to both of them. You know, one thing is always there. Whenever we have to calculate the flux due to more than one point charges, we can calculate the flux due to individual point charges and make their sum. But while making their sum, we have to be very alert about. We have to actually create an algebraic sum. And to create the algebraic sum, one thing is very important. What is the sign of the flux due to individual point charges? Now, here is a confusion. If I ask you, what is the sign of the flux through a surface which is not the closed surface or part of closed surface, then how to tell the sign of the flux? In fact, we cannot tell the sign of the flux if a surface is not closed or not part of closed surface. Because you see, area vector is defined along normal, and for not closed surface, normally can be taken in both the directions because it is not uniquely defined. If it is a part of the closed surface, then conventionally we take the outward normal as positive. So you see here uniquely area vector is not defined. So whenever we are saying flux in cases of a not closed surface, actually we are talking of flux, magnitude of flux, we are not talking the sign of the flux. So if I ask you what is the flux due to Q1, you know already we have calculated this result, and flux due to Q1 is say phi 1, so it's going to be Q1 by 24 epsilon. We have calculated it just now. Another thing, if I ask you what is the flux due to phi 2 Q2, that is going to be Q2 by 6 epsilon. But one thing is there about these two results. In presence of both the charges, can we say the net flux is sum of these two fluxes? No. Why? Because when we are adding the flux due to two point charges, we have to be alert about sign. Maybe the field due to them are supporting or opposite flux. Okay? So we have to be alert about that. So first of all, I should understand it just taking any arbitrary element on this surface. If I take say ds, if I take field due to Q1, so I am talking of field here, and let the field due to Q1 is E1. So E1 is like this, and the normal of E1 is say E1n. So E1n. So if I take this area vector as positive, right hand side that area vector as positive, you know E1n and area vector, angle between area vector is going to be more than 90. So this is going to be negative. Even n is opposite to n. So this is going to be negative. And at the same time, if I take Q2, field due to Q2 is here, P2, and P2, area vector of P2, field component is coming along eta cap. So the flux here for P2 is positive. So these two fields are not adding the flux, subtracting the flux. So we have to be alert about this. So what I will say here, let me take this direction of area vector, then the flux due to Q1 is going to be negative. So here phi 1, if I am writing, I will not phi 1 plus, I will write phi 1 minus with this sense of area vector taking as positive, which I have myself assumed. No one has given me this is to be taken positive. But one of it was to be taken positive, so I have taken this area vector as positive. So it is coming like this. And with this same selection, because I cannot change my own selection for different point charges. Whatever direction selection I will adopt same in case of all the point charges. So now with this selection of area vector, if I ask you what is the flux due to Q2, so that is going to be plus positive because E2n is along the same direction as eta cap. So now if I ask you what is the net flux, the phi net is going to be the algebraic sum of these two flux. So my answer is q by 6 epsilon naught minus q2 by 6 epsilon naught minus q1 by 24 epsilon naught. So this is my answer. So you can see here, this is my answer. So if I am asking you the flux about two or more than 2 point charges through a given surface, for direction part you have to be very alert, and sign part you have to be very alert. You have to make the sum, but algebraic sum with. But one thing is there, I have taken the rightward direction as positive area vector. It can be taken in the leftward positive. If I take leftward positive, this will be negative, this will be positive. So actually, whenever the surface is not closed, you see it carefully. We are actually calculating only the magnitude of the flux. So better I should write the answer is mod of this. Better I should write mod of this, because someone may be taking right hand direction as positive, right hand side as positive, someone may be taking left hand. So whenever you see, this is very important thing that we really talk of. Whenever we are not having a closed surface, the flux through that surface, we only talk of magnitude of that flux. We cannot say this is plus or minus. For some, it all depends on the sense of direction that you are choosing. And since for not a closed surface, area is not uniquely defined, so we cannot say it's plus or minus. We are only talking of magnitude of the flux. So here it is. So if we are having more than 1 point charges, we have to see whether the flux due to individual charges are adding or subtracting. So the answer is this, not this sum of these. Okay? So if we are having more than 2 point charges, 3 charges, 4 charges, and we have to calculate the flux in the popular cases, we can calculate, but we have to be alert about taking the sum. So it was one of the examples of this. So several examples of this nature can be there. Okay? So we shall discuss it later, and we will see it in assignments that we are giving you. But anyway, we are moving with another case. Another case is there, which is often asked and for exciting for good students and for good exam. For example, is sometimes we have to convert the 3D symmetry into 2D symmetry. What is the 3D symmetry and 2D symmetry? To convert 3D symmetry into 2D symmetry, I am going to take the example of a cylindrical, hollow cylinder. You can call it cylindrical cell. So if I am taking the case of a cylindrical cell, so what I am doing here, I am taking a line charge. It's very long. You know, there is no word for infinite. Infinite is always a comparative word. So if this has got a length L, and from this at some distance say, I am taking a point P here, and this is some distance say A, R. So if R is 2 less than L, suppose the length of the line charge is L, R is 2 less than L, and it is not the other boundary of this length. So it is infinite. This line charge is infinite for us. So often we call it word infinite. So where infinite creates a sense of magnanimity in our mind, but actually it is a comparative word. When we are considering a point at very small distance from a line charge, even if it has got a different length, if R is too small than M, for point P this is an infinite line charge. So anyway, this is a long line charge, and there is a point P, an infinite line charge. And for this, what I am doing here, I am considering a cylinder. So I am taking a long cylinder again. So it is small, the cylinder is long, so we can say infinitely long cylinder. So this is the long cylinder. And my question is, the length of this cylinder is say given say L. So same as same as this. My question is, what is the flux through this cylinder? This is a cylinder. So we can see, if I am asking you the flux through this cylinder, what is the answer? The flux through this cylinder is going to be length enclosed, and by this. So we are getting what? Suppose the length is L. So what is the charge enclosed? Lambda L. So total flux through the curved surface of the cylinder is lambda L by epsilon naught. Okay. Now I am not taking a cylinder, for example. I am taking a long, thin sheet. Long, thin sheet of given width. See, this is the sheet. This sheet has got width say from A to B. This width is given to us, say this width I am taking as a B. So how to calculate the flux through this? So I can see here, whatever flux will be passing through, say this point is say A dash and this is B dash, whatever flux will be passing through between A dash and B dash. Actually, if I take a radius from here to B dash and radius from here to A dash on the cylinder, so it's going to be a curved surface, and it is going to make angle theta. So you can say flux per unit length through the curved surface of the cylinder is going to be same. Why? The field lines are symmetrically emerging in all directions. So if you take, they are emerging in the 2 pi direction. What total flux emerging in 2 pi direction is same. So what is the flux emerging in theta direction? So theta angle corresponding to flux is going to be theta by 2 pi into total flux. So on this thin sheet, which is has got a very long, let me say L, if I ask you what is the flux, the same as the part of the curved surface which is subtending the same angle at the axis. Because all these field lines which are crossing here in between are passing through this plane sheet, are ultimately going through this curved surface. So the total flux through this cylinder is going to be lambda by L by epsilon naught. So if I ask you what is the flux through this plane sheet, your answer is theta by 2 pi into lambda L by epsilon naught. So this is my answer. So sometimes we can place a long sheet of given width in the surrounding of a line charge, and we can ask you about the flux through that. So what you have to do there? We have to see what is the angle subtended by the width of that line charge at the axis of the line charge, position of the line charge. Under that plane angle, you divide by 2 pi and you calculate flux. So this is one of the approach while calculating the flux. And another approach is also there with the similar thing, but not with line charge, but with the point charge. Now we are taking the point charge, and in the surrounding of point charge, I am having an infinite sheet of given width, and we are interested in calculating the flux. For example, this is the plane sheet of width B, and it's a very long set, and in the surrounding I am placing the point charge, and if you take the normal to this sheet from the point charge, so it is coming at N, and from that normal, if I am moving along it, so this is point is say A and this point is B. So how to calculate the flux? And obviously, and this distance is say, for example, Qn is going to be A, and so what Qn is going to, and this length is L say. So if L is very large as compared with A, we are going to call it the infinite sheet of infinite width, sheet of given width but infinite width. So now here I am interested in calculating the flux through this infinite sheet due to this point charge. So what I am going to do, I am taking this perpendicular distance is A. So I am taking a cylinder of radius A around this point charge, for which this point charge is lying on axis. So this cylinder has got radius A, and the point charge is lying on axis. So now, can you tell me what is the flux through this cylinder? So the enclosed charge by epsilon naught, so total flux I can easily say is Q by epsilon naught. So total flux through this cylinder is going to be Q by epsilon naught. Now, my question is, what is the flux through this curved surface corresponding to unit angle made at axis? So if I am taking a part of the curved surface, say for example I am taking this part, and this part is making angle theta. So this curved surface is making angle theta on the axis. So what is the flux through that? So I can see here the flux is uniformly distributed in all directions. For example, every part of the curved surface of same arc length is going to behave symmetrically. So if this angle is theta, so this is area, and the radius here, this angle is theta. So what is the flux through this? Total for 2 pi angle the flux is Q by epsilon naught. So for theta angle the flux is theta by 2 pi into Q by epsilon naught. Same logic I am going to make here. So what I am going to do here, I am considering a cylinder with point charge q at axis and radius at a. So I can say here, if this point B is making angle here in this direction theta 1 and this point B A is making here theta 2. So correspondingly, if I am making a cylinder of radius A, so if I make it top view, this is going to happen. This is the width, and this is point M. That is the distance A. And here I am having this point B. Here I am having this point A. Correspondingly, I am taking here A dash, and correspondingly I am taking here B dash. So we can say all those field lines crossing from A dash to B dash on the curved surface of the cylinder are ultimately crossing this sheet. So the flux through A dash B dash is same as AB. So I don't have to do anything. I have to just calculate the angle. So if this is theta 1, this is theta 2. The total angle is going to be what? So this is here theta 2 and this is here theta 1. So through A dash B dash the flux is same as through AB. So the flux, my answer is going to be theta 1 plus theta 2 by 2 pi into q by epsilon 1. So this is the flux through this element, through this plane sheet, long plane sheet, an infinitely long plane sheet we can say, due to this point. So this is my answer. So what you have to do in the surrounding of a long sheet, if you are placing the point charge, you draw a perpendicular on the sheet from that point charge and see what are the angles made by boundary of the sheet with that perpendicular. Say theta 1, theta 2, this is the flux. Now, if we apply it in some problem, so you will get a greater confidence. So we have to geometrically present it. So what I am doing now, I am taking a case of the presentation of this question mathematically. Sometimes we are presented the question mathematically. So what I am doing here, I am taking a sheet that is lying in, a long sheet that is lying in YZ plane. One of the boundary of the sheet is Z axis itself, and another boundary is Z axis itself, and another boundary is Y equal to say B. And what I am doing here, I am placing a point charge at from B, 0, 0. This is the point charge placed at B, 0, 0. And I am asking you, so this is the sheet you can see here, what is the net flux due to this point charge to the sheet. So it's the same result. If I draw a perpendicular here, the origin itself is a perpendicular, so the n point n, the perpendicular I will draw, so it's coming to O, and along this side there is OC. Okay. So this is one of the boundary, O is itself a boundary. Another perpendicular I will draw that will intersecting y axis. So this angle I have to calculate, and you know how much is going to be this angle. So this angle, this distance will be already mentioned, and this is also B. This is the x-axis B. So this angle is going to be how much? This 90 degree B. So angle is going to be tan theta divided by pi by 4. My answer is, what is the flux through this sheet? The sheet is lying in the YZ plane with the width around y-axis and the width value is B. So what is the flux? You can see here the angle is pi by 4. So applying this, but if I take theta 1, this is pi by 4, theta 2 is 0 because on this side there is no sheet. So here I am taking pi by 4 by 2 pi into q by 2 epsilon. So the answer is going to be q by 8 epsilon in this case. Is that clear? Okay. So sometimes we are given the plane sheet and the point charge is placed around that and we are asked about the flux. Now another question is there. If I am dividing this plane sheet, then how to calculate the flux? So if I am just considering the plane sheet is only present for positive z, plane sheet is only for positive z, yani below it is not present, then using symmetry you can divide it and say. So sometimes it may be given that the plane sheet is starting from certain level and that level the point charge is placed. And then it goes to the infinity. Then it is very long on the other side, but it starts from some given level, and on that same level, if you are place the point charge, and then we are asked about the flux. So whatever flux we have calculated by now, we'll divide it into two parts. So if this is the case, the plane sheet is only present along the positive z axis, not along the negative z axis. Then if I ask you the same question, my answer will be half of this, because it was the infinite sheet, then the answer was this. So half of it was on this and half is here. So the answer is q by 16 epsilon. One more modification we can do in such cases when the seat is not, point charge is not placed in the plane where the seat is starting, but somewhere else. In that case, we have to consider the seat corresponding to which plane it starts, and then either we can remove or add that part. For example, if I am saying you the seat is starting from not y-axis, but for below the y-axis, say for z is equal to, starting from z is equal to minus b. So it is not starting from y-axis, but it is starting from what? Z is equal to minus b, and rest of the things are same. Now what is the total flux for this? So it's a very interesting situation here. You can see here, z is equal to minus b means this distance is b, this distance is b, and this width is b. If I only leave this part, this is a square. So if it was from here onward till infinity, I am knowing how to calculate the flux. That flux was what? Q by 16 epsilon. Now we have to calculate the flux only due to this extra part. You clearly see what is this extra part. This extra part is a square plate of side length b, and this O is the corner of this square plate, and along the normal we are placing this point flux at distance L. So you know how to calculate the flux through a square plate if the point charge is placed at the corner at distance equal to side length. So this flux is going to be how much? Q by 24. We have already calculated Q by 24. So my answer will be Q by 16 epsilon naught plus Q by 24 epsilon. So this will be answer. Now what if the seat was starting from z is equal to plus b? So seat was not equal to starting from z is equal to minus b. Say assume the seat is starting from here. Then same logic I will apply. I will calculate it for here, and this part I will make minus. So sometimes mathematically the important results can be modified, and we can calculate the flux through the different part of seats. So it is one of the very popular aspects of ITJ when we calculate the flux through seat. Now I see if you have carefully listened to me and gone through what we have done, we can calculate any question of calculation of flux in the syllabus of ITJ using the symmetry and. So thank you very much for listening so carefully.